Greetings, true believers, and welcome to another mysterious episode of History of the Marvel Universe. 2 weeks ago, we recapped the origin of Marvel's Loki, the god of mischief and brother of Thor. This week's tale begins shortly after the Ragnarok event mentioned in that video, in which Asgard and its people were destroyed by the fire giant Surtur. Following this, the spirits of the fallen Asgardians were bound to humans on Earth. After returning himself, Thor used the Odin power he'd inherited from his father to restore the others to their proper godly forms and recreate the capital city of Asgard floating over Oklahoma. During this time, Loki returned in female form by transferring his spirit into the Asgardian body meant for Sif, while Sif's own soul was locked in the body of a hospitalized old woman. After this, Earth endured an invasion at the hands of the shape-shifting aliens known as the Skrulls. During the final climactic battle of the Skrull invasion, it was Norman Osborn, the former Green Goblin, who successfully killed the Alien Queen. With his villainous past largely obscured, Osborn's newfound popularity allowed him to become the new Director of National Security, disbanding S.H.I.E.L.D. and replacing it with his own organization, Hammer. In addition, Osborn assembled his own team of Avengers primarily composed of villains posing as heroes. Wearing a repainted suit of Iron Man armor, Osborn led the team himself as the Iron Patriot. One distinctly heroic member to remain from the previous incarnation of the Avengers was Robert Reynolds, the Sentry, a well-meaning but mentally unstable hero with immense levels of power. However, Bob also had a dark alternate persona, a sadistic, shadowy monster known as the Void. With the Sentry rightfully considered one of Earth's mightiest and most dangerous heroes, Osborn made sure to keep him around, manipulating him with charisma and the promise of psychological help. Meanwhile, Osborn also assembled a dark cabal to control things from behind the scenes, with members including Dr. Doom, Namor, Emma Frost, the Hood, and yes, Loki. It was during this time that Thor was able to restore Sif to her rightful body, reverting Loki back to his more masculine appearance. Regardless, he continued to manipulate things behind the scenes, slowly turning Osborn against Asgard, an entire city of powerful aliens floating over American soil. Loki also conspired with Dr. Doom, who abducted and experimented on Asgardians, seeking the key to immortality. When Thor intervened and defeated Doom, Loki was able to feign ignorance to his crimes and save the life of the madman's latest victim, an Asgardian woman named Kelda. However, Loki secretly acquired a piece of Kelda's soul, absconding with it to the fiery hell dimension belonging to the super demon Mephisto, one of several hell lords to use the name Satan. There, Loki used the ingot of Kelda's pure soul to forge a sword known as Ire Grom. With this weapon, he enslaved a group of soul-eating creatures known as the Disir. The Disir were originally Valkyries who served under Odin's father, Bor. In the distant past, they rebelled and began consuming the flesh of dead Asgardians. As punishment, Bor destroyed the Disir's bodies, leaving them spirits cursed only to feed on Asgardian souls that were exiled from the afterlife. However, this happened so rarely that the Disir starved for thousands of years, doomed to appear and slay whoever spoke their name, but forever unable to feed on their victims. And so Loki lured the Disir to Latveria, the nation ruled by Doom, and threatened them with a weapon capable of killing them. Brune, the leader of the Disir, surrendered her crown, which Loki transformed into a ring, binding the Disir to whoever possessed it. However, this was merely a bargaining chip for Loki. You see, in the wake of Ragnarok, Hela, the goddess of death, was left without a hell of her own. Loki offered the Disir to Mephisto, pledging them to his service for 101 days. In exchange, Mephisto would surrender a section of his own hell to Hela for a period of 1001 years. And in return, Hela erased Loki's name from the books of hell so that if he were to die, his spirit would not be drawn into the afterlife. This deal was finalized just as the siege of Asgard began. Denied presidential permission to attack, Norman Osborn orchestrated a fight between the radioactive villains, the UFOs, and the Asgardian warrior Volstagg, deliberately causing a tragedy that cost thousands of lives. Using this event as justification, Osborn and his Dark Avengers staged an illegal assault on Asgard. Fortunately, Captain America assembled his own team of Avengers and rushed to Thor's aid. However, the death and destruction caused the Sentry's evil Void persona to bubble to the surface and assert control. By encouraging Osborn's actions, Loki had hoped only to drive the Asgardians from the Earth. But in a display of power that dwarfed his expectations, the Sentry caused the city of Asgard to come crashing down. Osborn then lost control over the Sentry, who completely transformed into the Void. Horrified by the monster he'd helped unleash, Loki used his magical Norn stones to revitalize Earth's heroes so they could continue their assault. Noticing Loki supporting the heroes, the Void rent the trickster god asunder, bringing his immortal life to an abrupt end. The heroes struck with everything they could, weakening the Void enough for his human self, Bob Reynolds, to take control. Bob begged Thor to kill him while he could, but the Thunder God refused to murder in cold blood. However, when the Void began to re-emerge, Thor struck with thunder and fury, Reynolds holding the dark power back enough for Thor to finish the job and avenge the fallen. With the battle ended, Thor took Bob's remains into space, gently dropping them into the sun. After this, despite everything, Thor missed his brother, and subsequently, because of his deal with Hela, Loki was reborn in Paris, France, as a kid con artist named Serur. Thor sought out this boy, intending to restore his brother, but Loki did not return to his previous form, instead remaining a child without his old memories. However, an echo of the old Loki remained on Earth, and after solving the obtuse riddles and puzzles he'd left behind, Kid Loki unearthed and confronted the lingering spirit of his previous self. Old Loki revealed that he had planned for his own death and resurrection to give himself a fresh start, but his reincarnated self had no desire to take part in his schemes. Kid Loki locked the spirit of his former self into the body it had found itself in, a magpie that Kid Loki named Eikal. And so the reborn god of mischief lived among the Asgardians, his elder peers looking upon him with contempt and distrust. Eikal was his companion during this time. Invisible to others, the trickster bird would whisper warnings and advice to the young godling. Loki would gain another ally when Hela assigned her handmaiden Leah to aid Loki during the Serpent War, a conflict against Odin's brother Kull, the god of fear. While Loki's efforts behind the scenes proved instrumental in the Serpent's defeat, Kull's blanketing of the Earth in fear would have lingering consequences. Many denizens of Earth were still infected with the fear energy and found themselves the target of the otherworldly demon known as Nightmare. Loki himself possessed a considerable amount of this power in his own mind. Nightmare began harvesting the fear energy from hapless victims while they slept in a process that always proved to be fatal. The demon's plan was to collect enough energy to forge a crown that would grant him enough power to rule over the other Lords of Fear. Loki and Leah joined forces with Diamond Hellstrom, the son of Satan, to try and stop Nightmare by safely exorcising the fear energy from his potential victims. However, the task was difficult and innocent people still lost their lives. To stop this, Loki had his own fear energy extracted and offered it to Nightmare, giving him enough power to complete the crown without any more death. And so the crown was forged from Loki's thoughts, while Hellstrom disposed of the remaining fear energy on Earth, preventing the creation of another. After this, Leah returned to Hela, who had since reclaimed her proper place in Niflheim and no longer resided in Mephisto's hell. Leah was created from a piece of Hela herself, her hand, and so the two joined together to become one being once more. Meanwhile, the Fear Lords waged war against one another for possession of Nightmare's crown, but the victor was unexpected. Because of the schemes of a little bird, Mephisto became aware of the Fear Crown and defeated the Lords of Fear to claim it for himself. With the added power of the crown, he would be able to sit upon the throne of Hell and become the one true Satan. Loki once again conferred with the spirit of his previous incarnation, who revealed that there was one way to stop Mephisto. The Fear Crown was forged from young Loki's thoughts. If his mind were to be destroyed, the crown would disappear. And so after tearfully embracing his brother for reasons he could not explain, young Loki agreed. He consumed the flesh of the magpie Ikal, allowing the spirit of the old Loki to completely replace his soul. The mind of Kid Loki was nullified, the crown of fear fading away with it. Loki was dead. But Loki was reborn. However, this third Loki, with the form of the new and the memories of the old, could not wield his old magic in so young and small a body. For a time, he joined forces with the young Avengers against a threat that Loki himself was responsible for. During this adventure, he convinced Wiccan to use his magic to artificially age him into a young adult. And so Loki had pulled the ultimate trick. A return from death with a new body and a new lease on life, having fooled the realms into believing he was a new person. In many ways he was, and he set about redefining himself, but the guilt of what he had done weighed heavily on him. The murder of his own reincarnated self was a crime that could not be forgiven. He confessed to Thor, who reacted about as well as one might expect. Loki was still Loki, and all the realms knew it. And that is the tale of how Loki cheated death by murdering himself. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, share the video, and subscribe for more Marvelous content. Be sure to leave a comment letting me know what Marvel hero or villain you want to hear about next, and as always, the issues referenced in this video are listed in the description below if you would like to read them for yourself, as well as links to other places you can find me, including my Patreon page, where for only $1 a month you can get your name in these special thanks here. So until next time, true believers, Excelsior!